Hi everyone, it's Elizabeth from Elpis Astrology at elpisastrology.com. Thanks so much for joining me today. I'm doing the second half of September 2018. So we've got a full moon that's going to be happening in Aries. I'll talk about that in a minute. But we have an ongoing trine. Trine is favorable energy, sets things up so that it's easy for you to do things. And in this case, it's between Saturn and Uranus. And you could look at Saturn as an older person, an established person, established structures, but it's also Father Time. And Uranus is the future. So when we put these two together in a favorable way, it's really has an undergoing theme of letting go of the past so that we can go into the future. But it's being done in an easy way as opposed to, say, a square, which can cause more difficulties. And together with this, we have Venus squaring the north and south nodes. And we've spoken about the north nodes and south nodes of the moon a lot. But for those that haven't watched my videos before, the north node points to where we should be going to. And the south nodes basically says, okay, you easily default here, but you kind of need to let these types of things go. And what are these types of things? These types of things are anything to do with Venus. And Venus represents beauty. It represents love, the way we love. And it also represents money. So, you know, when we combine this trine with Saturn and Uranus, and then this square with Venus, north and south nodes, we're really saying here there's a theme going on for the second half of September with regards to letting go of old ideas around these things, okay, and start to look at the future, things that make much more sense to us. And this is occurring around the 17th of September. And together with these themes, we also have our Mars, which is now forward, squaring Uranus. And so this is freedom. Around the 17th of September, we may get some new opportunities being given to ourselves that help us break free of things that perhaps we've maybe even held on to our whole lives, right? Ways of doing things, attitudes, those all have to go, especially as it relates to that Venus, right? So that's your money, beauty, and also the way we love. All right, so we have the Sun is going to be conjuncting Mercury on the 21st of September. So this is a great day for any kind of signing agreements, contracts, or even negotiating agreements or contracts are good for the 21st of September. We have the Fall Equinox, which occurs on the 22nd of September. So this marks fall coming into our lives, and in some parts of the northern hemisphere, we will be seeing the changing of leaves. And I think that sort of lovely scent that the ground gives off, marking fall time for us. We then have the full moon, which is going to be coming up on the 24th of September. And it occurs at 7:52 p.m. and that's Pacific time. It is at 1 degree of Aries, 60 minutes. So it's almost literally at 2 degrees of Aries. Now, some of the outstanding aspects that happen around this are the full moon is going to be conjuncting Chiron. And this in turn will be opposing the Sun, which is in Libra, and Mercury, which is conjunct that Sun. So this is an interesting dynamic where Aries speaks to pioneering, doing things in an independent way. I want to do it as an individual as opposed to together, which of course is the opposite sign, or the Sun is in Libra. That's all about relationships and the importance of it. So I think this full moon in Aries, because we have the relationship sign involved as well, in opposition to it, and Mercury conjunct that Sun as well in Libra, I think this may mark a time where we have some serious conversations around our relationships, especially as it relates to how it makes me feel. Now, I know Chiron represents healing in ourselves as well as our ability to heal. So, but because it's conjunct Aries, to me it says I want to break free and be independent, and I want to be independent of relationships. And I think this is going to bring up conversations around, this isn't making me feel good where I am right now. especially as it relates to relationships. Now, we always think of love relationships, and for sure with Libra, that's what we're talking about. But it could also be friendships. Maybe we've had some toxic friendships that we finally decide to have, the conversation and speak about it's not making you feel good. And or our thoughts. Maybe we won't speak. Maybe we'll just make a decision in our mind around this time. So this is the 24th of September. And decide to go our own way and to leave some of these friendships behind and or relationships. So obviously the signs most affected would be Aries. But we've also got the opposite sign, Libra, as well. We have the moon sextiling. Those are opportunities. Mars, and Mars is conjunct that south nodes in Aquarius. But we also then have the sun, which is trine this. So to me, this brings up emotional things that it's going to be easier for us to let go of. With the moon sextiling Mars, which is energy, the south nodes, what we've got to let go of, it's going to be that easier time to release maybe ways that we've been emoting that, again, don't suit us. Maybe it's even from our childhood, where we default into going into a huff or something every time someone doesn't do what we like. We may make the decision at this time to change that. We're going to have the energy with Mars there to let go of past ways of showing our emotions. And this is a positive thing. That also sets up positive energy around this. The sun and the moon square Saturn. So this sets up a dynamic of maybe some people don't want you to change the way you express your emotions. Or you just may have some difficulty wrestling with this changing how you actually express your emotions at this time. But for sure, because this full moon is in Aries, we're going to want to blaze our own path and break free of things that perhaps have been holding us back, as I said, maybe our whole life, right? So it would be a good time to, maybe do some kind of meditation, maybe even set up some kind of ritual around this full moon that makes you feel good about letting go of ways that you've been expressing yourself that aren't really getting you anywhere. That saying of, doing the same thing over and over again and getting the same results, and then we say, well, why do I keep getting the same results? Well, it's because you're doing the same thing over and over again. So I think that's going to resonate in an individual way for all of us, but that's a good saying to go back to. You've got to change something in the way you're doing things emotionally, and certainly blaze your own path, but pay attention to the fact that you have to do things differently now, especially as it relates to our relationships. And the way we maybe have knee-jerk reactions, that may have to stop if you want to have things to change in your relationships. So that's friendships and actual love relationships. We have Jupiter in Scorpio that's been in Scorpio now for a while. So Jupiter stays in a sign for approximately 1 year, and it goes around the zodiac approximately 12 years. So every 12 years, you will have Jupiter in Scorpio. But it's been illuminating that ground and really shining a big spotlight on the deep recesses of our minds and our emotions too. Now, I'm bringing this up because you know that we're going to have Venus go retrograde, and it will go retrograde in 2 signs, but notably it'll go retrograde in Scorpio, and then it will go continue to retrograde into the previous sign, which is Libra, which is all about relationships. So why am I saying all this? Because I would go and spend some time going over what's been happening with regards to our psychological selves over the past, say, year or so, and what's been brought up that maybe has been uncomfortable for us, especially as it relates to our emotions and the way we emote in a psychological way. Also, anything that maybe has been a secret that we've been holding on for a while. Is it time to maybe let that go, or at least work through, maybe working with a therapist, to get rid of some things that are are a deep and dark part of ourselves. We have to accept all these parts of ourselves, but that you realize now is not really helping you very much. Because Venus is going to go retrograde over that ground too. So work that you do now will be even of more benefit when Venus goes retrograde over that ground, okay? We are going to have Venus oppose Uranus 3 times. It's already done one on the 12th of September. So maybe go back and remember that day. Was there anything that came up? Now, sort of a mundane astrological aspect that could happen with Venus opposite Uranus is sudden love. You know, you literally fall in love with someone at first sight. But it can mean many other things too. It could be a sudden breakup of a relationship. But because we have this happening 3 times, so the next time is going to be on the 31st of October, and Venus at that time will be retrograde in Scorpio. And then the third time is going to be on the 30th of November. And at that time, Venus will be direct. So I see this as some kind of process. And it could be to do with money too. It could be to do with our values, the way we look at beauty. All those things could be up. I think, personally, I think this is going to be relating to our relationships, okay? So something may have come up on the 12th of September with regards to your relationships, or it could even be you realize that this person isn't valuing me, or this organization isn't valuing me, or more importantly, I'm not valuing myself, or you're not valuing the money that you have. So some event may be triggered where you're forced to pay attention to that. And then as a process, you go through on the 31st of October and the 30th of November. 30th of November is where you tie up your decision, or say it's your love life. You finally decide, hey, this person really, even though they came in like love at first sight and we just boom fell in love, I've gone through a process of a few months here, and I realized, wow, this has been a lucky break with regards to me falling in love with someone that actually really deeply means something to me. Okay, so we have the last thing that happens is, yahoo, we have Pluto going direct on the 30th of September. And this is that kind of final piece falling into place, at least as it operates in the background of our lives, and it gives us our power back, or we take our power back at this time. It's a great, great thing for us to have happen. Pluto's been retrograde for some time, so if you've been stuck in something, or someone's had power over you, or you just haven't had your power, or your mojo for that matter, it comes back on the 30th of September, so that's really something to look forward to. Now, we have in the night sky, we still have Venus shining brightly in the west, you know, where the sun goes down, but it'll be a lot closer to the horizon, and it is losing a little bit of its shine now as it starts to make its way to becoming a morning star in a little while. We also have Mars that is still visible in the southeast sky, but it's waning a bit in its rusty brightness. And Jupiter is actually really very bright and visible right now in the southwest sky as soon as it gets dark. So go out and take a look at that. It won't last forever. Take care, everybody. I look forward to speaking to you again towards the end of September, early October, where I'll be covering in detail this Venus retrograde. For all of us, it'll be certainly affecting our relationships. All right, bye for now.